Almost a year ago now, I posted my very first video on YouTube. I can't believe it's almost been a year already. It's amazing how time flies. For this video, what I'm going to be doing, since this is my 25th video, I've decided that for this one, I'm going back to my roots. I've decided that after making my original video sharing my thoughts on what has been unveiled so far, right after the draft, even though that video didn't get uploaded till August, this time around I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on what has been unveiled so far for the 2016-17 season instead of the 2015-16 season, which I did almost a year ago now. So anyways, in this video, compared to that video, you're going to notice that this time around, there weren't any uniform touch-ups or little slight alterations like Montreal's lace-ups, white laces on Anaheim's home jersey, or a new shoulder patch logo on the shoulders of Columbus's home and away jerseys. This off-season, we didn't get that. However, compared to last year, with only Arizona getting new home and away jerseys, there are 3 teams that got new home and away jerseys. And on top of that, 2 teams got brand spanking new logos, while Pittsburgh changed the color of the triangle behind the penguin. Which you could say is a logo change. It wouldn't necessarily be incorrect. But the only thing they really did was change the color behind the triangle. I just call that a slight alteration to the logo. But anyways, for this video, I'm going to start with the Florida Panthers. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the Panthers' new uniforms in this video, because I've made 2 videos in the past few weeks, or pardon me, the past month, sharing my thoughts on the new logo as well as the new uniforms. So, if you want to hear me go into extra detail about the logo and the new uniforms, feel free to check out those 2 videos. But if you just want to hear me give a quick little summary of the new uniforms, here it is. First off, I think their old logo is 10 times better than the new one. I'm not saying the new one's bad, I just don't think it's the same. And to me, it doesn't feel right being on the front of a hockey jersey. I feel like it looks like something that's more appropriate for a soccer/football crest, depending on whether you're North American or European. And as for the new secondary logo, compared to the original sun logo with the palm tree and a hockey stick, I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's a bad logo. I think it's an alright logo. But their original one was something truly original, and it was so unique and so cool and so exclusive to Florida. It fit Florida to a T. And I loved that logo. I thought it was a classic. And it's such a crying shame that they got rid of it. And I also feel that same way about Florida's old logo. You know, so many people would tell you that they think it's a classic. And I agree with those people. It was a great logo. It did not need to be changed. And as for the uniforms, I hate the shoulder numbers and I hate the arm patch instead of it being a shoulder patch. And I hate the fact that these look so half-finished, with the chest stripe only going halfway around the jersey, and the lack of any hem striping, the lack of any navy blue on the jersey. These feel like they're missing something. And in my opinion, I feel like they kind of were halfway done designing the jerseys, and the owners came to the designers, and said, "Hey guys, that's good enough." And I'm really disappointed by these. And I also feel they remind me way too much of Sochi's Olympic jerseys that Canada wore. And with that, I honestly feel that these are quite a downgrade, and I just wish they would go back to their original jerseys, because in my opinion, none of the jerseys they've worn ever since have even come close to being as good. And you could definitely tell with those old jerseys who Florida was, and in my opinion, Florida stood out with those. And I just hope that this rumor that they've had for the past couple of years about bringing back a throwback jersey comes true, because that jersey needs to make a comeback. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty disappointed with Florida's new uniforms, I'm not going to lie. Anyways, I'm going to move on. The next team I'm going to talk about here is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Because Pittsburgh has finally gone back to the look that they won their 2 back-to-back cups with in 1991 and 1992. And all I can say is that I could not be happier, and Pittsburgh could not have done this sooner. Or fast enough. I mean, seriously, I wish they would have just done this in 2007. I mean, the fact that they went with those Reebok Edge jerseys that they have had for almost 10 years, in my opinion, it was way too long. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that way. I mean, look at these uniforms. I mean, they're complete, they're colorful. I love the Pittsburgh gold blocks on the arms. I love the striping. And the design of these uniforms allows them to stand out. Like, I understand Detroit has the red blocks on the arms where the numbers go on their road jersey. But I feel that Pittsburgh striping is different enough to really allow them to truly stand out from the rest of the teams in the league. And I think the black and Pittsburgh gold is truly Pittsburgh. And honestly, these uniforms are awesome. The logo, the jerseys, I think they're great. And I could not be happier they're coming back. But the only thing I kind of wished that Pittsburgh would have done was to have the waist striping on this jersey match this one. I wish this jersey here had the same waist striping, but since Pittsburgh decided to make that gold stripe thicker from the original this time around compared to the original, and the fact that there's more gold on the striping around the waist, and now that I've seen it unveiled, honestly, I don't even really care anymore about the striping being different. I think it is such a nice jersey that little bit of differentiation between the two jerseys' waist striping is actually not a big deal. And to be honest, I think the waist striping around Pittsburgh's new away jersey is fantastic. And I think it is such a nice jersey, I don't even care that the striping doesn't match anymore. I think it would have been better if they did, but it's not. To me, it's such a nice jersey, it really isn't a big deal. I'm just happy they've gone back. They've had Vegas gold for way too long. At least in my opinion. But anyways, all I can say about these is that I'm just so happy they've gone back to these jerseys full time. They could not have done it better. And in my opinion, they should have done it a long time ago. And I honestly find it very interesting that after winning their second straight cup in 1992, they switched to the Robo Penguin era. And now that they've won the Stanley Cup again against San Jose wearing the white jersey with the Vegas gold on it, they've now switched to these two full time. I wonder, wouldn't it... How do I say this? Okay, anyway. Would I be the only one out there who would find it extremely ironic if Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup next year after switching back to these full time? That would be quite something. At least, you know, I gotta say, I think that would be quite something. But anyway, only time will tell. So now, in my opinion, this is the biggest jersey change of the offseason. Because Toronto is an original 6 team. And here's their new home jersey, and here's their new away jersey. Also note the new number and slightly modified letter font for the new uniforms. And all I can say about the new logo is that, holy crap, that thing is awesome. For the first time since the early 60s, Toronto finally has a logo that fits with the original 6, in my opinion. It is such a great logo. They took the 60s logo from the early 60s and actually made it better. Most logo modernizations, in my opinion, usually turn out for the worse, but this is one of the rare cases where it's a huge improvement. I think this is great. And as for the jerseys, I love the simplicity, especially with Toronto being an original 6 team. But as much as I like the simplicity, and as much as I do think that these are an upgrade from what they've been wearing since 1992, I feel like they're a little too simple. And I also don't like the fact that the arm striping and the waist stripe are not matching. Now, I get that the waist striping here was meant to pay tribute to the Maple Leafs in the Ballard era from the 70s and the 80s and the early 1990s, but it just doesn't feel right in my opinion, and it's also a bit of a throwback to the Maple Leaf teams of the 40s and the 50s as well. But I don't like it for a few reasons. Number one, I find the mismatching striping a little bit odd, even though I don't think it looks too bad. I mean, I do agree with people who find it a little bit odd, and I'm not a big fan of it myself. Even though I think it looks good, I wish the striping would have matched. And the other thing I don't like is that now Toronto's waist stripe is now the exact same as Tampa Bay's. Like, it's not Toronto's not to blame for both teams having similar uniforms. But let me tell you, I wish that Toronto would have done something a little bit different. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm not a big lover of it. Now, another thing too, I don't like that Toronto's simplified their sock striping, because Toronto's socks, they've had them for many decades now. And it was a classic part of Toronto's look, and it was something that kind of allowed Toronto to really stand out. And I'm going to miss the sock striping. I think they should not have changed it. And another thing about Toronto too, I wish they would have changed it up a little bit more. And I love the new white stripe on the pants. I've really liked that about Toronto's 67 throwback third jersey as well. And for myself, about these new uniforms, I also hate the hanger effect that says pride, strength, courage. I find it extremely gimmicky that an original six team has decided to stick it on the inside of their collar. But that's just a very small nitpick on my part. But nevertheless, I think it's a stupid gimmick that should not have even been there, at least in my opinion. But I'm just not a big fan of these hanger effects on some of these uniforms, especially for original six jerseys. But in terms of uniforms, I think Toronto's new uniforms aren't too bad. But the thing is, they still kind of have a problem that I have had with their uniforms that they've been wearing since 1992. And the problem I've had with them, with the Leafs since 1992, is that I feel that they're a little too simple. And on their road jersey, I feel that there's still too much white. And as for their home jersey, I feel like it could use a little bit more white. Because when you're only blue and white, I feel like you gotta have a little bit more on the jerseys to brighten them up and to add a little more color to them. To be more specific, to brighten it up a little bit on this jersey and to add some color to this one. And with that, see, if I was the person in charge of designing Toronto's new uniforms, here's what I would have done. Honestly, all I would have done is slapped Toronto's new logo on this early 60s throwback. I mean, in my opinion, this was one of my favorite jerseys growing up. It has such a classic look to it, and since they're only blue and white, I love that there's lots of blue on the white jersey. Now, the only thing I hate about this jersey right here is the fact that the striping's cut off, but that's because of the older jersey template, which is a little bit frustrating. But anyway, I'm not going to get too far into that. But see what I like about this? The blue shoulders, the blue shoulder yoke, the blue striping on the arms and the waist. But this is the thing that I really liked about this jersey too. Notice that there's lots of blue on it. I love the blue cuffs on the arms. I like the stripes. And the thing is, with only just the two stripes here, it's made their jerseys since 1992 very plain looking and a little bit bare. I've always felt with Toronto's uniforms that they've been wearing since 1992, as well as their brand new ones, I feel like they're a little too plain. And that's why if I had my way, I'd just slap the new logo on this. I mean, imagine that. It would be such a nice jersey. And imagine this jersey here with the new logo and a blue version of it, which they did wear in the 91-92 season as a throwback. Imagine both that jersey and this one here with the new logo on the front. I mean, Toronto would bump right up to one of the best looks in the NHL. Seriously. And I think it's such a shame that they didn't do that. And I'm not saying that their new uniforms are bad. They're not. But the problem I have is that I feel like they're a little too simple, and I don't like the mismatching arm and waist striping. And another thing I also don't like about these is I kind of feel like they were halfway done. With the mismatching stripes, I feel like they have kind of the same issue that Florida has, in my opinion, where they were kind of halfway through designing the jerseys where the owners said good enough. It's almost as if Toronto's owners said, look, as long as it's different enough to sell new jerseys to help us pay for our renovations to BMO Field, where the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League and Toronto FC of Major League Soccer play in. Like, I almost feel like they said, as long as it's different enough to help us sell new jerseys to help pay for the renovations to that stadium, it's good enough. And in my opinion, I do think Toronto has done a decent job with these. But I feel like they're a little too simple, and I just wish they would have just slapped the new logo on the early 60s jerseys. Jeez, it wasn't that hard, guys. If they would have done that, instead of having a good uniform, in my opinion, they would have had a great uniform. Seriously. It would have been, in my opinion, it would have been a true classic, and they would finally fit in with Chicago, the Rangers, Montreal, Boston, and Detroit in terms of classic uniforms. But as I say that, though, I think these are a nice fit, too. But the only thing is, I just feel like they're a little too simple. But overall, as a uniform, I do think they are a step up from what they've been wearing since '92. And seriously, this logo change should have happened way, way sooner. Now, see what I mean about how bare that road jersey looks? And kind of with the home jersey too a little bit. Now, the next thing I want to get to. Now it says here the Texans. Now recently, news has surfaced that the Dallas Stars have done what the Vancouver Canucks did a few years back with their Vancouver Millionaire throwbacks by trademarking the rights to the jerseys and logo of an old hockey team from that city's past. Now, with the NHL's 100th anniversary coming up in 2017, you can expect a hell of a lot of throwbacks. And since the expansion 6 franchises are turning 50 years old this coming 16-17 season, you can definitely expect special jerseys. Now the thing with Dallas is that if they skated out on the ice wearing North Star throwbacks, I can almost guarantee that there would be a huge public outcry, especially from those fans that happen to reside in Minnesota, and you know who you are. Anyways, see, Dallas has trademarked the rights to the jerseys and the logo of the American Hockey Association's Dallas Texans, which played back in the 1940s. And since Dallas would have a lot of trouble making a throwback for the North Stars, I mean, honestly, to see Dallas paying tribute to Dallas's hockey history, I think it's awesome. And I hope they do it. And anyways, before I move on, here is a much better quality photo of the Dallas Texans that I wanted to show. As you can see, it only has striping on the arms and nothing around the waist. And for a throwback jersey, I wonder if they'd even use a rounded collar. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I have managed to draw up a little mock-up of the logo of the Dallas Texans. And this is exactly what the logo looks like. And I think it's a great idea. And I think it is such a cool idea for Dallas to be paying tribute to Dallas's hockey history. I think it's such a great idea. And to hear that they're going to wear a throwback jersey at some point, I think it's awesome. But the thing is, I would tell you viewers out there that you probably won't see the throwback for the 16-17 season, and the reason is because it's usually a 2-year process with the NHL and Reebok, which for the 2017-18 season going forward will be Adidas, but they already own Reebok. But the thing is, it's a 2-year process with the NHL and the jersey manufacturer to create the jersey and to get permission to wear the jersey. So I wouldn't expect it for next season, but for the 2017-18 season, in line with the 100th anniversary of the NHL, I am 99.9% sure. In fact, you heard it from me first. Dallas will be wearing a Texans throwback at some point. Maybe not this coming season, but probably for the 17-18 season, which would make a hell of a lot of sense. Anyways, I'm going to move on yet again. Now that's it for jersey changes, but the thing is, I'm going to go over a few little rumblings I've been hearing and some extra news that's kind of surfaced as of late. So first off, with the Coyotes, they're celebrating 20 years in Arizona, which makes me feel old. And just like what the Oilers did with their WHA throwback last year, I would expect Arizona to bring their throwback they've been wearing for the past couple seasons back again. But this time around, don't be surprised to see them wear it for more than just 2 or 3 games. I would say probably 5 to 7 games, though I could be wrong. Now, the next thing that I want to mention here real quick is that with the Edmonton Oilers, Mark Chipman, the owner of the Jets, or co-owner of the Jets, I should say, has mentioned that supposedly Winnipeg's not going to be wearing anything new. And the same could be said with the Oilers as well. He did say that too. And I would expect that there will be a white version of the orange throwback Edmonton wore last season, which, by the way, I'm 99.9% sure that Edmonton has made it their new official third jersey. And personally, I think it's the right move. It's such a nice jersey. Also, with Winnipeg, they will be wearing a WHA throwback too. And you know what? It's the cherry on the cake to their already awesome home and away jerseys. Like, in my opinion, Edmonton should have never gone away from the jerseys that they won 5 Stanley Cups in. Seriously. So much history's been made wearing those jerseys, and the orange and royal blue, in my opinion, is awesome. It's one of my favorite color schemes in sports. And, yeah, about the Oilers, expect a white version of their orange throwback. As for Los Angeles, I have not heard anything but rumors that they're bringing out a gray version of their home and away jerseys. And with the fact that they already have a gold throwback they wear for Legends Nights games every season, I mean, it would make total sense for Los Angeles to shove a new uniform down their fans' throats. I know that's a rather harsh way of putting it, but as much as I'd rather see Los Angeles bring out a Gretzky-era throwback in the black and silver, you know, if they're going to make a new uniform for their 50th anniversary while also having their gold throwback from 1967, you know, I get it. It's not really, in that case, it's not so bad. Now, as for the Flyers, I did mention before that they're probably bringing out a 1980s throwback for their 50th anniversary, which would make a lot of sense because they haven't worn too many jerseys in their history. But according to a sneak peek picture that I've seen recently, Philadelphia may not necessarily be doing a throwback. In fact, they may be doing something new, which either that or it's an excellent Photoshop job done by the team's graphic designers. And if that's the case, you got to tip your hat to them. They did a good job of fooling us Jersey nerds out there, and Flyer fans far and wide, for that matter. But the thing is, with Philadelphia, I've also heard people saying they're probably retiring their Winter Classic jersey that they brought back, not this past season, but the season before, as a third jersey. Honestly, I haven't heard a single peep about them retiring that jersey, and why would they? It is such a nice jersey. It's the perfect third jersey for their already fantastic home and away jerseys. Like, seriously, why would Philadelphia want to get rid of it? It would not make any sense to me, and personally, I would be very disappointed. Now, what I would tell you viewers out there to expect is to see the Flyers continue to wear their 3 jerseys they have now, and also bring in the 50th anniversary jersey, as well as a special one-off jersey for the Stadium Series, which, unfortunately, the Stadium Series just has such a bad track record with jerseys. They push the envelope a little too much, in my opinion, and I kind of feel like the Stadium Series has been the cause for some of these teams, such as the Islanders and Colorado and teams such as Arizona and Florida going with jerseys that are kind of half-finished looking. With the Islanders' case being their Brooklyn jersey, the Avalanche's third jersey, which I'm not a big fan of, though it is a step up from their home and away jerseys, but I think anything is. And also with Florida's newly unveiled jerseys that look half-finished and have the cut-off chest stripe that doesn't even go all the way around the jersey, which is a huge head-scratcher for me. But anyway, with design trends like that, Philadelphia's probably going to do that as well when they play Pittsburgh, and I'm sure Pittsburgh will do the same, unfortunately. But since both teams are celebrating their 50th anniversaries next season, wouldn't it be nice if they both just brought out a nice jersey each? I mean, if they both wore a throwback jersey for that game, that would be awesome. But as I say that, they probably come up with something downright hideous or something really boring. But anyways, we'll find out when the time comes. Now, also, finally, I'm going to finish this video by talking about the San Jose Sharks. Because with the NHL draft that just happened, not one single draftee of the San Jose Sharks received a jersey with front numbers on it. Which also, this past season, the front numbers were replaced with their 25th anniversary logo. Now here's the interesting thing. It seems like San Jose has finally pulled their heads out of their butts and have finally realized that the front numbers suck. And if that's the case, I honestly couldn't be happier. The front numbers have been needing to go for a long, long time now. And in my opinion, they should have never brought them in the first place. And I still can't get over the fact that Buffalo has been doing the same mistake since 2006. 10 years. Jeez. What's wrong with these two teams? But at least it seems that San Jose has finally taken those stupid front numbers off all three of their jerseys. And I'm not sure about this, but since their throwback jersey they wore last year was so popular, I have a feeling they're going to bring it back. And I really hope that they do. I mean, come on. That jersey was fantastic. It was teal, it had silver on it, it was silver and black, it had nice striping. It wasn't a half-finished jersey that had no waist striping. It has waist striping. It's a complete uniform, and in my opinion, it's fantastic. It is one hell of a nice jersey. And I believe that the Hockey News recently posted an article saying that actually called that jersey the greatest jersey of all time. Though I absolutely disagree with that, I do agree with them on one thing. That jersey not only is a very nice uniform, but it absolutely needs to make a comeback. And not just as a throwback jersey, not just as a third jersey, but as San Jose's new home and away jerseys, or at least something similar. I mean, in my opinion, they should just go back to it. But if they could come up with something similar that's just as good, I'm all for it. But anyways, with that, that's it for this video. And I think San Jose should go back to their throwback jersey full time. And the sooner they do, the better. I mean, their three jerseys they wear now are very, very boring. And, I still can't believe that they got rid of their 2007, 2008 jerseys for the home and away jerseys they have now. I mean, they're so plain and so boring. But anyways, I'm not going to go into much more detail than that. But anyways, that's it for my thoughts on what has been unveiled so far for this upcoming 2016-17 season. And as always, I hope you viewers out there enjoyed this video. And until the next time I make a video, as I always say, take care. And as always, bye for now.